Have you ever seen one of these? It's a pinless CPU. As you can see, there is gold on the front, but there's no pins, it's just little dots. It looks impressive, but usually with EWASTE, when it looks impressive, it's not. It's when you can't see the gold that there's actually more, so like chips and so on. In any case, we're going to get the gold off there, and then in some cases we take the heatsink off, which is copper. I think it's nickel coated. There's sometimes gold on the other side. So in the case of this video, all the CPUs I did have gold in there, and I'm also going to recover that gold in a separate video and then work out the total of amount of gold obtained from a pinless CPU, like from all of them together. So in this video we're going to be getting the gold from the heatsink. G'day viewers, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be removing the gold from the copper heat sinks that were on the back of this pinless CPUs, which I did in a previous video. Now, you don't always have gold on the back of these. Most times they're just blank, and when you do get the gold, there's such a wide variety of coatings. I'll give you an example. This one here, there's not a lot on there, just like that one there, but this one here is coated right to the edges, and this one, as you can see, is a nice dark colored coating, and this one here is very pale, very light. So there's going to be different quantities of gold, but from what I've seen, these are a fairly decent layer. A person named 39 Juicin, who used to do this, hasn't done it for a while. He sacrificed a whole pile of nitric acid to dissolve an entire heatsink, and what he was left with was a square foil floating on the surface. So now I've laid all these out, staggered them so that there's air around them all, and I'm going to soak them in hydrochloric acid, because they've got the heatsink, they've got the circuit die in the middle there, and there's also a soft metal underneath it, which I think is called ammonium. I could be wrong. Plus it's got the rubber seal around the edges, silicone or rubber or whatever it is. So that'll all come off when I soak them in hydrochloric acid. It doesn't take very long. If you want it to speed up, you can heat up the hydrochloric acid, but today's 40 degrees outside, which is over 100 Fahrenheit, so it's not going to take very long at all. Hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow I'll be able to rinse them all off, drain them off, and get started on the recovery. So let's go and get started. These have soaked overnight, and all the solder would be off these by now. Hydrochloric acid won't hurt my finger, but if I handle it properly I'll put gloves on for sure. Now I can take these out of the hydrochloric acid, rinse them off, and I'll drain that hydrochloric acid back into the bottle, keep it for used hydrochloric acid. There's still plenty of strength in it to do this kind of thing again. So I'll get these all rinsed off, ready for the next step. Well, these have all been rinsed off, and some of them, it's hard to see the gold now, but it is there. It hasn't gone anywhere, because hydrochloric acid alone can't touch gold. It's just made the copper gone dull, and it's a bit hard to see it, but it's still there. It hasn't removed the dyes like the one I showed you before, which I'd soaked, and that's probably because the first one I soaked in straight hydrochloric acid. This is used diluted hydrochloric acid. It's done the job getting rid of the solder, which is the main thing. It would have been nice if I had put them in straight and gotten rid of all the dyes in the middle and so on, but for this amount it would use a lot of hydrochloric acid, which I'm low in. I still haven't managed to buy a decent amount of it, so I didn't have much choice. It'll probably come off when we reverse electroplate it anyway. So if you're doing this and you want a better job than this, if you don't want all the crystal dye and all the other things still stuck to it, then use straight hydrochloric acid. The rubbers are starting to peel away. Some of them are still in there, but they lift off easy enough. That's not a problem. So now they've been rinsed off. It's time to go inside and start removing the gold. I'm getting set up for the electroplating, the reverse electroplating, and so there's the pile of Heatsinks, piece of lead, sulfuric acid, catch flask in case something goes wrong, container full of water, my clamps. I've run over the end of the clamps with a file to make all the contact points nice and bare metal, and power supply. So for those who haven't seen my other videos where I do electroplating, I specifically don't use the what do you call them, silicone gloves or nitrile gloves, because sulfuric acid can eat straight through it. So what I'm using is 98% sulfuric acid. You don't need to use 98, you can use diluted down if you wish, but it's what I've got, so I will be using it. So I want to place my lead in there and put the negative clip onto the lead, and I want to try and make sure that my clips stay out of the sulfuric acid, otherwise they get they deteriorate, they leak through them. And then I use the positive on just a little piece of the heatsink to try and remove the gold on this half, and then I'll turn it around and do this half. I do need to get myself a pair of pliers, or I think I've got a proper chemical glove. I might get that just for when I'm handling this, because it will have the sulfuric acid on it. That beaker looks like it's a little bit too full, a little bit too much in there. So what I'm going to do, eventually once I've finished getting all the gold, this will be poured into the water, so I might as well tip a bit of that into the water now. Actually I might go and see if I've got a bottle out on the table with sulfuric acid. I think I have. I'd prefer to pour some into there. Now before I get started, the heatsink I originally showed you, this one here I think it was, you see there's nothing in the middle, it's all gone. I soaked this in 100% straight. When I say 100% straight and not diluted, I mean hydrochloric acid. I think it's 36% or something. Whereas the rest of these I used old HCl, which is also a bit diluted, and it hasn't done as good a job as I would prefer. It's still got a lot of this material on there. If I had have used undiluted fresh hydrochloric acid, it would have come up like this. I should by rights go and soak them in fresh hydrochloric acid until they look like this, but I'm low on hydrochloric acid, which is why I didn't do that in the first place. So I'm just going to bear with it. the gold will start coming off. A lot of this will come off as well, most likely, which means I'll have a dirty gold solution, but that's okay. The purpose of this is to show you how to do it. If I find this isn't coming off, even in the electro bath, then I'll put them aside and I'll treat them at a later point. The purpose is to show you guys how to get it off. The gold is still there, as you can see on this one. Just they're really dirty from being soaked. If I washed them, I guess they would come up clean and you'd be able to see the gold a lot easier, but that's okay. And just take my word for it that it is there. It may even clean up after being in there, I don't know, we'll see. But so these all still do have gold, and they should look like this. If you're doing it at home, please take the time to get this done properly. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches. Like anything, preparation is the best thing. The better you prepare for any job, the better the outcome. The people that I need to give the money to for the gold need it ASAP. That's the only reason I'm in a hurry. Otherwise I would take my time. I'll go and get a bottle, save some of this because I don't need it quite so full, and I'll be back. Alright, so I've poured some back into the bottle, and I took the lead out while I went outside. You don't want to leave it in there because it'll consume the lead. You can probably see it's all stirred up in there. So now I went and got my glove, and it took me a long time to get this on because I've got hands like baseball mitts, which is why you rarely see me using gloves. Even with the nitrile gloves, 9 times out of 10 when I try and put one on, they tear, and they're extra large. So if you're wondering why in my videos I rarely wear a glove, that's why. I do want you guys to be safe when you're using any acid, but especially 100% especially with sulfuric acid. 98%, that'll give you a nasty burn before you even have a chance to say out, and if that's hot, it'll eat you to the bone before you can blink. Okay, please, even with all acids, but especially sulfuric acid, please be careful. It is dangerous stuff. I know that in America you can buy it cheap as a drain cleaner, but it's so dangerous here they don't even use it for drain cleaner anymore. They use lye. Whenever you buy liquids for drain cleaners, it always contains lye, which even that's dangerous, but this stuff's shocking. You can probably see that there's a color change. I don't know why, but after I opened the bottle for the very first time, it all started to discolor once the air got to it. It hasn't come out of the bottle. This is fresh acid. This is the first time it's been out of the bottle. This is what it first looked like, and it's been kept with a lid on. I can't understand it, and I can't explain why, but it just went this brown color after opening it. So now I can only find the one glove. Luckily it's my left hand. So I'm going to face the gold towards the lead. So I'm sorry you guys can't see that part. I might even see if I can turn it around so that you will be able to see. It would make more sense. And hopefully I'll see if I can move the camera closer, and you might be able to see better. I'll put it in halfway. I don't want I've got to turn it on first, that might help, eh? Okay, that's on. I don't want the clip in the solution. See how it's all starting to bubble? I don't know if you can see that. So you know it's working. Sorry, the little tripod that I'm using is now going all wonky because I moved it. Instead of using lead, you could use anything. You could use stainless steel, you could use any kind of metal really. I don't know about aluminium and things like that, but certainly stainless steel, titanium maybe, if you've got some of that. Who has that laying around? Not me. So pretty sure the coating on these heat sinks is probably nickel. I used to say tinned, but they're obviously not tin, otherwise it would have come off in the hydrochloric acid. So I'm guessing it's nickel, and you can see now the nickel's coming off, and you can see the copper underneath. It looks like the gold's gone. I'll just give it a tiny bit longer, just in case. This will be a very dirty solution, so the gold that we get will need to be refined. Even if they were all nice and clean like this, instead of having all the metal in the middle still, it would still be dirty because of the nickel and the copper being dissolved. So now I'm going to turn it around. I've got glasses on in case for some reason, like I might drop that in the liquid and it might splash. I don't want to get it in my eyes. I'm not going to sit here and show you, what is it, 200 and whatever it is heat sinks. Pretty boring. So if I can think of things to talk about, I'll talk while we're doing this. Otherwise I'll do the rest off cam. See, the nickel still hasn't finished coming off along the bottom, so I dare say the gold would still be there. I know it looks like the gold's gone, but in the past when I've been at this stage, I've washed them afterwards and you can still see a hint of gold. So it's better to go just that little bit longer. This is a good method for people who can't get hold of nitric acid. I find that really strange, because although nitric is definitely dangerous, I wouldn't say it's not, but sulfuric acid in my mind is far more dangerous than nitric. So it puzzles me, but anyway, that's just how it is. If you don't have straight sulfuric acid like I'm using, that's not a problem. You can use battery acid, which is, I think, don't quote me, but it's one or the other. It's either a third sulfuric and 2/3 water, or 2/3 sulfuric and 1/3 water. I really can't remember, but it's one of those two. All you need to do first, if you're going to use battery acid, is filter it. And because it's so diluted, it will filter. Even if you don't use a coffee filter, just put it through cotton balls. Now you see how the bubbles have slowed right down? That's a general indication that the gold is gone. And then you just put over here in the water to wash it off. There will be bits of gold on there, and they're all going to go into there at the end. And if I grab another one now, it should start bubbling crazy again, because we've got a new one in there. See the bubbles all start up? So there's another indication that you can use as when to stop. You can go by how much bubbling there is. It's giving off a bit of a pungent smell, but nothing that I would say you need to wear a mask for. If anything, it smells like cooked eggs. You see the bubbles have stopped. It's not always a proper indication, because there's still plenty to come off. Power supply seems to be going still. It could be the connection, so we'll try and move this. Yeah, it's picked up a bit. And this is a tedious job. It's going to be requiring sitting here for a long time doing all these. But for some people, it's the only way to do it if you can't get hold of nitric. Although you could use I guess you could use bleach. I'm not 100% certain. I think you could use bleach to strip it off. You could certainly use bleach in the refining process if you can't get nitric. I'll give this a rub with my fingers. I'll give it a damp, see if I can get it a bit cleaner. See, there's a blue tag that just came off. That's that stupid heat paste stuff that they use. I hate that. It gets all over your hands. So now you can see the gold there for sure that was underneath that square. Look at the bubbles all start up. And see, it's going. Just go a little bit longer while the bubbles are still happening, just in case. And I'll turn it around. And the bubbles are all kicked in again. It's 99% of the time it's a good indication of when you can stop. But just give it a look over. If you can still see something there, if it even slight bubbles coming up, just keep it going. Like I said in the past, I thought it was finished, and afterwards I found hints of gold on them still, and I'd already packed up and didn't feel like setting it all up again. I'd rather go just that little bit longer. I'll give this a wipe and see if there's anything on there. That seems to be clean.
Do you feel the fat?
Still a bit of nickel on there. Usually they're really like bright copper when all the other metals have been taken off. But that's okay, I can't see any gold on there. Alright, so I'm just going to carry on and do the rest of them. If I can think of something to tell you, I'll put the camera back on. Otherwise I'll probably be back in about 2 days, going by how many I've got to do. So I found once I stopped seeing bubbles, if I just give it a quick rinse, it all starts up again. I'll show you when these bubbles go away. If you guys are doing this at home, you don't have to have a beaker. I know some people who are starting out don't have the glassware. You can use a drinking glass or a jar, but just be very careful because this beaker will be getting very hot. Be an exothermic reaction that's going on in there, and if your glass isn't made for heat, then it could smash and crack, break, and I don't want to see you guys getting hurt, acid going everywhere. The other alternative is you can use the Pyrex dish that I've got under here as a catch dish. That's what I normally use when I'm doing reverse electroplating. And this piece of lead, you probably noticed by the shape of it, is designed to fit along the inside of the Pyrex dish, and this part here hangs over the edge to put the clip on. So you can do it that way. You can use a coffee pot from a percolator, because they're designed for heat. Pyrex will take the heat. This is what this dish is here, Pyrex dish. You can use a Pyrex jug. The smaller the area, the better it works, which is why I chose to use a beaker. So I don't want you guys to think, oh well, you don't have all the glassware. I didn't when I started out. I went through a lot of coffee pots. They're very thin and they break easy. I was forever buying them from salvage depots, op shops, goodwill shops, thrift shops, whatever you call them. if I give this a rinse like that, you wait and see all the bubbles kick in again. See? Even though it was still bubbling a little bit, it slowed down, and this just speeds it up again. The one I did before this, I had to rinse it about 4 or 5 times, and eventually got it nice and clean. It's a shame that all that stuff is in the middle, because I know that all that's being dissolved as well. So for those who are new to this, anything that's dissolved will come off as a black soot, a black sediment that will drift down to the bottom and settle at the bottom. It'll take a while, it'll probably take overnight, but we don't need to worry about waiting for it to settle anyway. You'll find out why later. You see how clean it's coming up. The stuff's still in the middle, but around it it's all nice clean copper now. There's no gold left on there. The closer you get to the lead, the better the reaction. Try not to hit the lead, of course, because what you'll do is short it out and blow the fuse in your power supply. But that's about the worst thing that's going to happen, so don't panic too much if you do touch it. But if your power supply turns off, you know why. And the reason why, in case you're not sure, the reason why I face it towards the lead from the beginning, I said I'm not going to do it around this way, I'll do it this way, is because this side of the heatsink is what gets stripped. If the gold was on the other side, it wouldn't strip off. You got to put what you're trying to strip facing the lead. And I guess it goes without saying, if you're going to be doing this at home, please make sure that it's nowhere near children or pets, because they don't know. They jump up and knock it off and get severely burnt. I don't have any children living with me. Mine are all grown up. My granddaughter's not due to come over anytime soon, and I'm doing this in my new scrapping room, so if she did come over, I'd just close the door, leave it all set up. You see it's coming up nice and clean. You can see the black, I don't know if you can see it, but the black dribbling down off on the corner. See, nice and clean. And I'll do the top again because I can see that that's still dirty. Alright, so this is pretty boring for you to sit and watch. So once again, I'll turn the camera off, and if I can think of something else, I'll turn it back on again. I know people are bound to ask me, can you use salt water? My guess is yes, but don't quote me on it. It would be worth an experiment to find out. But I am fairly certain that yes, you could use salt water. Same as I believe you could use vinegar. I've heard of vinegar and salt water together. On their own, I don't see why it wouldn't work, but you could try salt and vinegar. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure you could use bleach, but again, don't quote me on it. All these things would be worth experimenting. So just in case you're wondering, I would give it a shot. If you haven't got any sulfuric acid, by all means give it a go. Try salt first, salty water. The saltier the better. If that doesn't work, just try putting some vinegar with it. Just household vinegar. You can use cleaning vinegar, you could use table vinegar, what you would use on your fish and chips. It's all the same stuff. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you have successfully used something different, others would like to know. I would love to hear your comments. There's a lot of new people who are watching my channel, so any of you guys with experience, we'd like to help the new people, and if you've got any tips, please share them. I answer every single comment ever. I hate it when I comment on someone's channel and they haven't got the decency to comment back. Doesn't matter how many people they got visiting comments. If you can take the time to watch my video, I think it's worth taking the time to write back and say thanks or something. So I always respond to every single comment, but more so to help the other people that are interested. If you've got comments, tips to help them. Can't remember if I've already said it, but once I'm done with all these heat sinks, I'll keep them aside, and when I've got a lot of hydrochloric acid, I'll re-soak them, straight hydrochloric, see if I can get those circuit dies off the middle. I'm finding giving it a quick rinse is definitely helping. I'm speeding through them a lot faster. You can tell that the solution now is very brown. There's a lot of metals that have dissolved into the solution. I'm not really sure how well you can see it. Very dark, and that will settle out in time. So I've got a visitor, so I'm going to turn the camera off for now, and I will be back soon. It's now the next day, and I don't think I'm even a third of the way through. These are going to take forever. As usual, life got in the way. You know, places to go, people to see, things to do. Visitors come over unannounced and haven't even got the decency to ring and see if it's alright to come over. You know, it is usual thing. So today I'm continuing on, see how many I can get done before I'm interrupted again. There's quite a bit of dirt in the bottom of the dish. I don't know how well you can see that. And all that dirt is dissolved metals that have come off the chips, off the heat sinks. So it's going to be a fair bit in there. And there's a stack of heat sinks there. It's handy to have something to rest your arm on. I'm resting my arm on here. It's just holding it. It obviously gets pretty sore. I've never done this many before, so I've got no idea what to expect. The most I've done is about 10 or 15. I can't remember. There is a video that I did a long time ago. So if you just want to go back and have a look, you'll get some idea, I think, of how much gold I got at the time. So, but as usual with my videos, even though they're usually one video, there's two parts. There's the gold recovery, which is what I'm doing now. I'm recovering the gold from the heat sinks. And then the last part is the refining and melting or weighing of powder, whichever way I go. I don't actually do the video in 2 parts. This one I might though, depending on how long it is. Looks like it's going to take quite a while just doing the recovery. We'll see. I have to look how long the footage is. I've been getting some really nice comments. I mean, I always get nice comments from you guys. You're an awesome audience. But I really want to say thank you for all the comments. I love getting comments. Also, I feel that just simply saying thank you to all my members, it's not enough. You know, words can't explain how grateful I am. So once I knock over a few more gold videos for this person that I'm doing the toll refining for, I've got well, there's going to be several silver videos coming up, and from each one I do, no matter how much silver there is, could be a lot, could be a little, I don't know, but whatever I get is going to go to one of my members. I'll try and find how to do the random picker on YouTube. I'll type in the members that are members at the time, whoever they would be, and someone will win the silver from each video. That's the only thing I can think of at this point in time to say thank you, because it really does mean a lot to me for all the people who are members, and you know, they've stayed members for quite a while. But even if new members come along, greatly appreciated. Doesn't cost much, it's only about $5 or something, cheaper than a cup of coffee. So if you think I deserve a coffee, and I love my coffee, please think about becoming a member. And I don't know if I've already hit 3,000 subscribers. I know it's coming up. When I hit 3,000, I'll be giving away some gold. And I also, whenever I do a giveaway like that to the general audience, I also have another piece which I give away to the members. So in actual fact, the members have 2 chances of winning some gold, because they're in the first draw, and then they're the only ones in the second draw. When I started doing this again today, the bottom of the beaker was choked full of dissolved metal. The solution's still brown, but it was more clearer. As I'm doing it now, I'm starting to get more back in the solution again, but there was a lot down the bottom. That doesn't mean there's going to be a lot of gold. It could be a lot of copper, it could be a lot of nickel, could be anything. But it's a good sign, whichever way it is. It started to yesterday become hard to get the coatings off. It started to not work as well. I think there would still be plenty of power in the solution, plenty of acid left in the sulfuric acid, because after I give it a rest, like overnight, it's picked up quite well. It's doing pretty good. So I think it was just choked up. But if it gets too bad, I'll put this aside and I'll pour another beaker full. And I'll tell you why I put it aside later, and I'll explain everything when I finish recovering all the gold. I'm excited to see how much I get out of this, out of all these. I can't remember the exact number, but it's got to be 200. It's around, it's got to be over 200 surely. The exact number would be in my first video where I did all the pinless CPUs, because I numbered how many of the 3 different sizes that I had. I just haven't looked to add it up. All the gold's gone. Okay, I'll be back when there's more to talk about. If your hand does get too sore, you can clip it to the side, but be careful because it could spring off. And don't forget about it, because you'll come back and there'll be no heat sink. You know, you ideally don't want to get as much copper as, like, you try to avoid the copper coming off as much as you can. It's only more that you have to deal with when you're trying to recover the gold and do your refining. So I just had it like this so I could go and make a cup of coffee and then come back, and it was all this part that you can see was done. Now I've turned it around, and as long as you keep an eye on it and don't forget about it, it should be right. That way you can continue scrapping or do other things. Fancy. Just tried putting a rubber glove on, because I know that the silicone ones and the what are they called, the other one, the normal ones we use would just get eaten apart by sulfuric acid. So I tried the rubber ones, and this is what happens every time. This one's no good. This one's no good. This one's no good. I've got hands like baseball mitts. So that's why you'll see in my videos that I don't wear gloves. And like I said, I can't find the other one of these. It came as a pair. Like socks, one always goes missing. And I've gone a fair way through these, probably over halfway. But I'm having a problem as I'm holding the thing up here. When the little bubbles and everything as it spits, it sprays on my thumb and down my palm. And 5 times in the last 2 hours I had to go and wash my hand because it starts to sting. Just the little tiny bubbles that hiss and spit up as it's dissolving, it sprays up on my thumb. So you've got to wear gloves with this sulfuric acid, guys. It's bad shit. I'm having to hold it with my left hand, which I'm feeling really hard to do because I'm not left-handed. And then when I go to switch them over, turn it around, I've got to then grab the handle with my right hand so that I can use the glove to hold the heatsink, turn it around. You can probably see there's drops on the handle and here, all down there. So either way, I'm still going to get the stuff on my hands. But this is a little bit better so far, so just uncoordinated. I'll push through. Right, so I can't do it left-handed, it's just too awkward. So I've got a tissue here, trying to catch the splatter before it hits my hand. I've got in case I didn't show you, a little fan blowing the fumes away from me because although I don't think they're deadly, I started getting a headache because I've been here for hours, so just blowing the fumes away. It's starting to slow right down. There's still plenty of strength in the acid, but it's just so choked up full of metals, as you can tell by the colour. And if you look down there, I don't know if you can see, there's actually a layer now. You can see a layer of metal. So what I'm thinking of doing is just calling it for the rest of the day. I've been sitting here long enough, and give all this metal a chance to sink to the bottom, and hopefully that'll speed it up a little bit. There's like so much metal floating around on top. I've had to brush it down about 6 times. I've had to brush down the lead bar to make sure that it's not choked up, and you can see it's hardly anything happening. I give it a rinse and it's trying to come off, but see now it fizzes up a little bit and then stops. So because I'm having trouble with the glove and everything anyway, I'm just going to call it while I try and find another glove. If I can't find one, I'll just have to come back tomorrow using this method with the tissue. It seems to be working. And I'll finish this last one off, call it for the day, and resume tomorrow. I'll put this over here for a second and I'll show you. I don't know if you can see with the sediment layer at the bottom. try and hold up to the light. No, it's not going to work. Can you see that grey layer down there? And this is getting really heavy, by the way. That's a lot heavier than what it was when it's just acid. So the box is totally black. There's so much metal in there from washing off the heat sinks. And the first batch that I've done, probably, I don't know, 50 or so, I've put into a stainless steel bowl. It's outside soaking in full strength hydrochloric acid. I just went and got some the other day, so I'm soaking it to see if the centre parts come off, and if they do, have I missed any gold laying underneath. If I have, then I can bring them back in and finish them off. If I've already got it all, then I won't need to worry. It's hard for me to explain, but say with this bit of gold here, when I got the clip down here and I'm holding it there like that, on the top of the circuit die, I'm seeing bubbles coming out, so the electricity is travelling through because of the metal underneath the glass. I'm pretty sure it's called indium or something to that effect. And so the electricity is travelling through, and you can see bubbling happening at the top of the die. And then same thing when I turn it over, I see bubbles happening along here. So I think it's getting the gold even though it's underneath the circuit die. I'll find out once they come out of the hydrochloric acid bath. I'll be in there for 3 or 4 days. That's how long I soaked the other one for, and it came out spotless. But I'll keep an eye on it each day, of course. If it can come out sooner, even better. And if it works, and if there is gold hidden under there still, then all these ones here that I haven't done can go in there for a soak while I redo the other ones. So that's where I'm up to for now, and I'll call it for the day. I'll come back tomorrow. Okay, I've rinsed off the lead bar. You should have seen how much black stuff came off it. It was choked. And in case you're wondering why I don't filter this, it's because, like I said, it would eat straight through a filter paper. The only way I could filter it is if I had fiberglass filters, which I don't have. So the only way this could be filtered is if it was diluted, and then it would go through. But that's later down the track. So for now, I've just got to put up with it or start another beaker. Alright, back again. A couple of days later, life got in the way. I got my second glove. Guess where it was? My girlfriend had used it and put it somewhere different instead of where it belonged. Anyway, so now I can get started again. And got those to do. If you look, I'll try and pick this up carefully. You can clearly see where the sediment is. So hopefully this will be all active acid, and we shouldn't have any dramas continuing on for a little while until it all gets choked up again. The other heat sinks that I told you I put in hydrochloric acid, they've been there now for 2 days. I might just give them till tomorrow, I think, and then I'll have a look at them and see how good they are, if they've all stripped or if they're still the same as this. Alright, let's carry on. Alrighty. So now I just got to hope that when all the acid sprays up on my thumb like it was before, it doesn't run down the gloves. I'll have to keep an eye on it. You can see it's foaming up really well again. That's usually what happens once all the sediment has had a chance to settle down and leave just clear acid. When I started, each time it's always been like this, but after a period of time when the acid gets choked up, it seems less effective, but it's only because it's so choked. You see most of it's off. I gave the lead a good scrubbing while it was in the water. This is one of the only times you're going to see me put sulfuric acid in when I refine the gold, because e-waste, as a rule, as long as you process it properly, does not have any lead in it. But because I'm using a bar of lead, there's every chance that some of it could be coming off and be coming into the sediment there. So when I go to refine it, there's every chance there could be some lead in amongst it. So to combat that, I will put a squirt of sulfuric acid. I see so many times where people think while doing e-waste that they have to put sulfuric acid in, and it's not the case. I've had this debate many times before with people. The only time you need to use sulfuric acid normally is when you're doing jewellery, because jewellery could have been resized at some stage or repaired with like a brazing solder, which would have lead in it or could have lead in it. E-waste, the only time there should be lead present is if you're getting in the solder, but before you process pins or boards and things like that, you're supposed to remove the solder first by soaking it in hydrochloric acid. So that's where I said if you're processing it properly, there should be no need to add sulfuric acid. Now, I've had people say, well, what does it hurt? You know, is it really that bad putting sulfuric acid in? It doesn't hurt. Okay, yes, you're perfectly fine putting it in. But my issue is, when people are learning, it's hard enough to remember everything now without adding extra steps. Every little extra step is one extra step that someone who's learning has to remember. And not only that, the cost involved in getting set up is already high enough without people feeling like they need to also go and buy sulfuric acid. Now, it might be okay for the Americans, you can buy it for a couple of dollars a bottle, but I can tell you what, it's not cheap here. My 20 litre bottle cost me $89. So I don't want to go buying expensive chemicals that I don't need. And if I wasn't doing this reverse electroplating, I would have no use for sulfuric acid. Yes, you can get it from batteries and all these kinds of things. But the point is, it's one less thing that someone should need to buy in order to get started. So it's a less cost and it's a less step. And all these things add up. If you remember back to when you started, how awkward it was to remember every single detail, and how trying to get the money together to buy all the things that you thought you needed to have. So my goal ultimately is to help people, and most of the time that means helping beginners. So that's why I don't like misinformation. I don't like people saying you need to do this and this and this when you don't. Just like it annoys me to no end when people say using a nitrate is poor man's aqua regia. It is not poor man's aqua regia. There's nothing poor about using a nitrate. Okay, where you guys are, it might be cheap, but a 20 litre bag here was going to cost me, a 20 litre bag of sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate was going to cost me, I can't remember now, I think it was $60 or $80, something like that. The whole census on poor man means that anybody can afford to do it. Now, a proper poor man's aqua regia is hydrochloric acid and common household bleach. I'm pretty sure that anywhere in the world you can go to a supermarket and buy a bottle of bleach for a few bucks, $3 or $4 at best, normally around $2-3. That is affordable by anybody, hence the name poor man's. It frustrates me like you have no idea when these other channels, I'm not going to say the names because there's no point, but they keep showing a nitrate powder and saying, oh, this is poor man's. I wish people would get their information properly straight so that the learners can learn properly from the beginning and not get confused when one person says one thing and another says another. A poor man's is not using a nitrate, and using a nitrate powder or a nitrate liquid is really the same thing. Whereas poor man's is a substitute for nitrate. If you, instead of going and buying a nitrate, whether it be a liquid or a powder, there is a substitute that they can buy, being bleach. Rant over. Well, I'm going to continue on with these. Again, it's nothing different to what you've been watching me do. I just have to try and get through this mountain of Heatsinks, which is slowly diminishing from what it originally was. It's gone down a lot. I'm looking forward to having it done so we can go on to the next part of the video, which is processing the gold which we've recovered, because it's filthy at the moment. It's going to have all kinds of contaminants in it, and then we can see what we got. So I will be back later. Alright, I'm down to my lucky last. Oh, been looking forward to seeing that guy. And I took some out of the hydrochloric acid to show you. No point bringing the whole lot in. And they are totally clean, except for the nickel that's in the middle. But the gold was sitting on top of the nickel. Alright, so they were all nickel plated. Then there was gold. Then there was, I guess it's iridium or whatever it is, and then it's a circuit die. And all of these have just got a little spot left of nickel. So we were getting the gold out from underneath it. Like I said to you, I could see it sizzling from underneath the circuit die. So my guess is the electric current was running through the soft metal and then onto the gold. If we'd left it longer, we would have probably removed all the nickel as well. Yeah. Before you ask me if the gold came off, why didn't the center pit drop out? I don't know. But you can clearly see that these are all clean. Some of them are really, really clean. Like this one here. And some of them, because they're wet, they're stuck to the ones behind them. Alright, so they're all clean. So we'll just knock this last one over, and then we'll go on to the next stage. Alrighty then. So the only way I can filter that to get the sediment out is to dilute it. And what better way to dilute it than to put it into this water, which has all gold sediment and other metal sediment in there already. So what I'm going to do, you always pour water into acid, acid into water, never water into acid. And I'm not going to throw it in fast, I'm just going to pour it real slow. Like so. There's a lot of sediment in there. Now I can use the liquid that's in there to rinse out this beaker. Try and get as much of it out as I can. Just gently, I'm not trying to splish it around and make it splash. Still a lot of sediment in there. But I can get this out later, that's not a drama. Some of that's probably the black stuff too, the rubber stripping. coming out now. Almost out. And so what I'm going to do now, I've got two choices. I could either let all the water, the water has got acid in now, let it settle, and then try and scoop off the top, or I can pour it all into a larger beaker and let the beaker settle. It'd be a lot easier to then remove the clear liquid on top. If I was to try and pick this container up, it's going to want to buckle and twist, and if I was to try and pour it out through a corner onto a filter, odds are I'm going to make a mess, guaranteed. So what I'm going to do is grab a new beaker, one of my nice new ones, and I'm going to use this beaker to fill it up. I probably won't get all this liquid in, but that's fine, because what I can do is wait until it's settled, either pour off or siphon off the clear liquid, and then I'll have room in the beaker for the rest, which I can then pick the container up and squirt all the gold out of it, all the other metals that have come off. Or I could just fill up two beakers, but I'm not going to dirty another beaker. I can just wait overnight, this will be all clear. Alright, so I'm going to leave that there for now and let it settle, and tomorrow I'll come back when it's all settled and we'll continue. I'll pour off, I'll probably siphon it, I guess, I don't know, I'm inside the house so I don't want to go making a mess, and siphoning is too much of a risk of making a mess. I'll carry the beaker outside and do it, and then we can put the rest of this liquid in there, squirt down the container, get all the off the sides and off the bottom, and yeah, we should have the gold in the aqua regia really soon. I'll rinse off my hands now before I touch the camera, and we'll see you on the next step. I've changed my mind, which is one of the good things about this hobby. You have options. There's always options. Now, instead of waiting until tomorrow to see if it's all settled, and then emptying it, and then filling up this bucket, and then having to wait for another day for it to settle again, when this has already taken long enough, I've decided simply just to use another beaker. So what, I've got to clean a second beaker. Rather get it done as quick as possible. So again, we'll use this little beaker to try and fill it up. Also, I'm going to take this outside when I'm done here, and I'm going to experiment with putting some through a filter to see if it is diluted enough to go through the filter, because for the same reason, if I wait till tomorrow and then find it's not diluted enough, I've then got to add some more water and start again, and if it is diluted enough, then I should be able to start getting most of it through the filter. Although on that aspect it won't hurt for it to be settled, because then I won't block the filter up so quickly. So now I'm going to see if I'm able to lift the container up, since there's hardly any in there. I'll just squirt this out first. This beaker try and turn the camera around so I can show you. It's got a lot of metals stuck to the inside, and the best way to get that off, apart from washing the beaker, which then you could get rid of the gold and you don't want to do that, is to dissolve aqua regia in here. When I say dissolve aqua regia, I mean have some aqua regia, put a lid on, the steam, the vapors will dissolve all of this. So when I'm treating the gold from in these beakers in a filter, I might as well put the filter in this one, and I'll use this beaker to put the filter in and dissolve the gold and everything else, whatever dissolves in aqua regia. I'll do it in this beaker, so it also takes off all this stuff on the edge. So if you see me use a filthy dirty beaker, you know why. This is the one that we just used for the reverse electroplating. So let's put this back here again. I'm probably going to make a mess here, but there's not a lot in there, so we'll see. Oh, look at that. Right, there's a little bit of room left in this other one. Well done. Now I can squirt out the tub and get the last of it. Squirt all this out. I'll squirt it into the small beaker. I'll just rinse this little bit of here off. I'll squirt this into the small beaker. Look at all that metal. I'd like to think it's all gold, but highly not likely. I'll do that with two hands, and yeah, I'll show you when the next step I'm outside doing whatever it is I'm doing up there. Okay, so I had a question from a subscriber, a long-term supporter of my channel, Marcus. He asked me, why do people have to remove the base metals from carat scrap jewellery? Why can't you just put it in aqua regia? Well, you can. So the answer is you can. However, it's going to be a lot harder to remove the base metals from the liquid while it's all in solution than it is while it's a solid. If you're trying to get purity, then you need to remove the base metals before you attack the gold. So you need to inquart it, and then you need to remove all the base metals, and then you can dissolve the gold. You think about it, if you dissolve it all and you've got everything, copper, silver, gold in solution, yeah, you can pull the silver out while it's in solution by putting copper in there, or salt water, or hydrochloric acid. But then you've still got your copper and whatever else could be in there. And how do you remove that? You know, you could put a piece of iron in there and the copper would drop out, but then you got iron in solution. So it's so much easier to just remove the base metals first and then dissolve the gold. So I hope that helps, Marcus. I hope anyone else learnt from that. If you have a question, please drop me a line and I'll put it in Just Ask Prospector Pete. I started filtering it last night, and as you can see, the solution came through nice and clean, and these have settled quite well. So I can continue filtering. I didn't use a paper, I just got cotton balls. I've been filtering the dilute sulfuric, and I'm down to these last two beakers. I did have about 5 on the go, and I was storing it in this bottle. The bottle was full and I still had some in the flask. It was not as much as that, but there wasn't enough room in the bottle, so I've poured some from the bottle back into there until it was nearly full, and I'm going to start evaporating that down. When there's more room in there, I'll put the rest of this bottle in and evaporate it all, try and get close to back to say 90-95 purity. It can be used as electrolyte now, but I don't need the hot plate for anytime soon, so while I'm not using the hot plate, it might as well start evaporating. If I need the hot plate again, I can just take that off. And so it was all filtering really fast when it was just clean liquid, because a lot of it had settled at the bottom. But now we're at the sediment stage and it's taking a while to filter through. You can see it drip, drip, drip where it was running. So not much I can do now until it's finished filtering. And this is the beaker with all the sludge in it. As I said, all this on top here will all come off with the fumes. There's about 4 cotton balls in there from all the other filters that I had running, the other funnels. And these ones are choked up. So when they're finished, all that will go into this little beaker and we can start evaporating, start dissolving it. So I'll be back when it's ready. I didn't realise there was 3 because one of them was blocked by my view like that. So there's 3 funnels going and they're all dripping really slow. That back one I think stopped altogether. I can't see any drips coming from it at all. So I'm trying to avoid having any liquid in this beaker if I can help it. I could all just pour all that in here, but then I'll have all the liquid in there, and I would rather have just aqua regia. So I'm just going to have to wait for it to drip dry. And if this back one's not dripping at all, I'll wait till these ones are emptied and then pour that into one of these. I'm done filtering. So since I've got so much water in there, this next step is not necessary. You don't have to do this. You can go straight to hydrochloric acid and nitric. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some nitric in there, and it'll be like a dilute nitric boil, because of all the other metals that could be involved in this. You know, like we said before, there could be lead from the bar, there could be copper, it could be anything, right? So I'm hoping if I just put a bit of nitric in there, it might clean up the sediment and make refining it a whole lot easier. And then I'll just drain it into a filter paper, catch the sediment left over, put it back in here, and then go to aqua regia. So like I said, it's not a necessary step, but it's one I'm going to do, try and get a better purity. So what I'm going to do now is put a little bit in there and put it on heat. I'll come back when it's finished boiling. It's only been on the heat for 5 minutes and there's already fumes in there. So the nitric acid is definitely dissolving something that doesn't belong in there. I'm quite happy with that. Good idea, I think. The nitric boil has finished. There was no more reaction when I put some more nitric in. So I had it settling and all the gold was at the bottom, or all the metal I should say, and there was clear liquid with all the cotton balls floating on top. But it was down here somewhere, and I filled it up with cold water to try and cool the mixture down so I can filter it. I don't want to wait hours before I can do it. I'm trying to get it done. So I cooled it off. Now I'm going to wait for it to settle a little bit, otherwise it'll choke the filter straight away. And filter all this off. I'll catch all the sediment and everything in the filter paper and then put it straight in aqua regia. There's the clump of metal powder and 4 cotton balls. Just waiting for the last of it to drip out, and then I can start dissolving it and seeing how much gold we get. Alrighty then, I put some hydrochloric acid in there. I don't know why this hydrochloric acid is yellow. That's how we got it. The person gave it to us. I've never seen yellow hydrochloric acid before, but it's all I got. And then I'm going to put a squirt of nitric. You don't put much, you always just put a little bit. You can always add more. It's better than having too much in there and then having to denox, which is a waste. So I'll see how that goes for now. And if I need more, I can always add more. Well, that's a nicer colour than the grey. It's a good sign. That should filter out nice and yellow. There's a few things that are floating around in there that are black, dark stuff, and I don't know if that's undissolved gold or just rubbish. I think what I'll do is I'll put just a whiz more nitric in there. I can get this tripod to stand still. Let's put just the tiniest little bit more nitric. I don't want to overdo it in case all the gold has already dissolved. And do it slowly too, otherwise it'll overflow huge. When it's hot, acroregia, you always put the nitric in real slow. Not so bad when it's cold. Yeah, see it's coming to overflow now. Oh, can I stop it? No. Oh, come on. What a save. What a save. So I'll just leave it with that, a little bit of nitric, and see how that goes. Give that another 10-15 minutes, half an hour. A lot of it, now that it's all calmed down, it actually looks like the rubber that was around the edges of the heat sinks. All the black that I can see just looks like the rubber. So I've probably put too much nitric in now. Oh well, we'll see. Anything that's in there should definitely have dissolved by now with that amount of nitric. So what I'll do, I'll give it 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll take it off the heat and filter it, and I'll just keep the filter paper in my paper storage even with all the rubbish in there, because that'll burn when I treat the papers. And that way, if there is the tiniest little bit of gold still to go, it'll be caught. I'm not going to lose it. So it's nearly the end of the day, the sun's going down. What I'll end up doing is just turning the hot plate off in like 10 minutes or so and let it cool naturally. And then tomorrow I'll come out and filter it, and then we'll see what it looks like when it's filtered. Right, so next morning, and I've got to filter all that crud out of the solution, and tried to find another beaker this size, but then I realised that by the time the funnel's in there, the liquid won't come up this high anyway, so I'm going to use a bigger beaker. I'm going to put a cotton ball in the funnel. I find that this really helps to get it nice and clean, as well as a filter paper. We've had to keep them in here away from the weather, because otherwise they'll deteriorate. We've got a drawer there that we keep them in. I'm going to fold the paper up. And the paper is purely just to catch all the crud. So you can see what I'm doing. Just folding the paper. I know that you can just open it like that and use it that way, but I like to pleat the paper. Just helps it drain faster. catches more stuff as well. Makes it a bigger area. It was really good when I bought these papers. It actually had a diagram, not that I needed it, but there was a diagram on the advert showing you how to fold papers. For those who didn't know, that'd be quite handy. Chickens have been fed. Right, so I'm going to put this in the funnel. It actually sits better in the funnel this way too, I think. It's nice like that. Now I'm going to pour the solution in. Shouldn't take very long. Guess what? The hot plate was on all night.
Oh, it was on low.
Phil.
Yeah, it was on low.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Sometimes you can wet the filter first if you choose to. Sometimes you don't have to. If it has trouble staying in shape, I normally do, but it's sitting there quite good, so didn't see the need to worry. I've almost gone through this already. There wasn't a lot of solution in there. So I'll let that drain through, put the last of it in, give it a good rinse out until I see all the colour gone from the filter, and then drop the gold. Look how clean this is coming out. Awesome. You can see that there's contamination in there by the colour, which is normal. We expected all sorts of contamination, but that's coming through really clear. Just the sediment to go through now after this is finished. It's going to be a nice drop. Don't know how much there'll be, but it'll be a nice drop. I'm dissolving some SMB, and I got it filtering because it was in a dirty container. That Pyrex thing, there was a little bit left in there and it was dirty. There was dust and bits and pieces. So I'm filtering it over. It's all nice and dissolved. This is looking lovely. Just the sediment that's in there now, rinsing that through. And they should probably both be finished at the same time, I guess. And then you'll see a colour change and a nice drop soon, hopefully. Here we go. SMB going in. Oh, so before I do it, you always want to double the quantity of your gold solution. There was roughly about the same, I would say, between the SMB here and there, but there's also water in there from rinsing out the funnel and so on. Starting to get lighter. I didn't see any major fizzing, so there wouldn't have been any excess nitric. If there was, it would have fizzed all over the shop. Yeah, it's starting to change colour now because it was green before. Turned me back for 2 seconds and it's gone from green to yellow and orange. There it goes. Nice. I would have preferred to be quicker than that, but hey, I've had a lot slower. It's pretty good. And that'll just get darker and darker over the next few minutes. It's dark right in the middle. I'll just let that sit now until it clears up. It's the next day, and apart from the polluted liquid, there's a nice drop on the bottom. I don't know how much is there, but it looks like it's alright. So I'm going to pour this off into my temporary gold stock pot. as gently as I can so I don't lose the gold. I won't lose it, but you know, so it doesn't pour out now. It's clumping quite nicely. It's not trying to flow out as a fine powder, which is good. It might be a nice drop. I've had to go and put my camera on charge, and what I did in the meantime is I've done 4 hot water washes. You only need to do 3, but I did 4. No specific amount. And then now I've got it in hydrochloric acid, having a boil in hydrochloric acid for about half an hour or so. No set time. I'm going to have to carry on without the camera because it's going to be on charge. So once this has had a boil, I'll drain off the hydrochloric acid and give it some more hot water washes. And then we should be able to get a weight on it, see what we got. It won't be anywhere near pure. I will refine it, but it'll give us an estimate of what we got. So it's had its hydrochloric acid boil, and the gold powder looks a lot less. So I'm just going to make sure that none of it's gone into solution, because it has happened to me in the past. Even though I rinsed it thoroughly and would have got rid of all the hydrochloric, all the SMB, it does happen. No gold in solution, which is a good thing. It means that whatever's missing was impurities, and that should be the last of our powder. There's not a lot in there, but I'm going to pour off the hydrochloric acid now and give it 3 or 4 rinses with some boiling hot water. We're going to pour it into this, I think. Make sure you can see what's going on. I'll keep this hydrochloric acid too, because it's still going to have use in it for other things like removing solder and so on. Okay, there's a little bit of gold. It looked like there was a lot there before. That's going to take a while to settle by the looks of it. Maybe not. I really thought there'd be a lot more gold than this. There's one. Usually after doing a hydrochloric acid boil, the gold powder goes nice and brown. Hasn't done it this time, which just shows how many impurities are in it. If I did a nitric boil as well, it would definitely clean it up, but I've got other gold powder that needs to be refined anyway, and I'll do all of them together. So this will just give us a rough idea of what we've got. This will be the last one, there'll be plenty. And I can see there's no gold coming over with the solution, so that's good. So what I do now is I get this lid. It's got a nice concave section, and I'll put the gold powder onto it, and then I can have it drying on top of a hot beaker. And because it's so concaved, I can suck out the liquid. Every time I go to use a bottle, it's never been filled up.
Sorry.
Huh? No, you're not. You wouldn't do it. Right. I'm not sure how well you can see that. I get a pipette and I just carefully squeeze air into it, and it makes it all go into the center. So I'll do that now. If I can get the stupid tripod to stand still. Let's get some water in there first and just gently blow it like that. And then I'll move it around. You see how it all bunches up in the middle? How does that sit? On top of a hot beaker. Put that on the heat for a little while and dry it out. Well guys, I'm not impressed. I weighed it up and then I realised that the camera wasn't actually turned on. Sorry about that. So I weighed again. I did actually weigh the gold that I just got separately to the gold from the front of the CPUs, but then realising that the camera wasn't even turned on, I had mixed the two together to see what the total was, and looks like I have to do it again, but I can't separate the gold now, it's all mixed together. So this is the total from the bottom, from the front and from the back, and I'm really not impressed. I was led to believe that the heatsink had much thicker gold on it. Maybe it did in the older days. Like anything, I'm pretty sure they've just got flashing on there now. But 0.42 of a gram from the front and the back. Not good. I certainly don't think I'll be bothering again, because 3 days of doing the heat sinks in the reverse electroplating, then a couple of days in acid, does not warrant that. Really poor. I'm not even going to bother melting it. Not yet. I'll just add it to the other things I've got going on, and then tell the owner. I've got plenty of other gold coming up. We're doing BGAs and RAM sticks and all kinds of things, so there will be decent gold in those. But this is a real letdown. I think in future I'll just sell them on eBay or something. If you guys have had a better result, or if you know a better way, please put it in the comments. I'm sure others would like to hear it, and I would too. And I hope you found something informative or entertaining at the very least. If you did, please subscribe, like, share, comment, all them kinds of things. If you think I deserve a cup of coffee for less than the cost of a cup of coffee, you can become a member. You go in the draw for giveaways and so on. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers. I'll be giving a gram of gold away for one lucky subscriber, and probably half a gram. We'll see whatever happens, and that'll go to the members, one of the members. Members are also in the chance for the first one, the gram, so you get twice the chance. Alright, so until the next video, thanks for watching. Bye for now.